Good afternoon. I'm Victoria Gilbert, Director of APAC at GlobeScan, a sustainability research and consulting firm. For the last 25 years, we've conducted a study of experts across the globe looking at sustainability leadership. And today, I'm very pleased to be sharing some of our 2021 findings. A lot has happened in the past couple of years, from the recent Zhengzhou flooding, Germany and Belgium flooding, Earth Overshoot Day, which this year was on July the 29th, current forest fires in Turkey and Greece, and of course the biggest environmental and health crisis of our time, COVID-19. Only this week, 8 years after its last update on climate change, the UN published its latest comprehensive report on the state of the global climate. The IPCC report, which has made headlines across the world, is referencing Code Red for humanity. The world is likely to reach 1.5 degrees of warming within 20 years, even in a best-case scenario of deep cuts in greenhouse gas emissions. Governments, private sector, individuals all have a role to play. Sustainability professionals have been talking about this in the context of business operations for a long time. And now, others are recognising that the urgency is real. There has never been a more critical time for sustainability leadership. So this year, from April to June in 2021, around 700 sustainability experts from 72 countries across the world completed an online questionnaire with 24% representation from APAC countries. We've been looking at a number of things, especially the importance and urgency of sustainable development challenges, and we've looked at this over 2 decades. This year, the most urgent challenges globally are considered to be climate change, biodiversity loss, water scarcity, water pollution, and poverty. In Asia, respondents also echoed the global sentiment for the top 2, most urgent being climate change and biodiversity loss. This is directly in line with the IPCC report, and what we're seeing is a continued focus on sustainability in the corporate world, despite the challenges of COVID-19 on trade and revenue. People still perceive the urgency of these issues to be accelerating, and actually what we're seeing is that this has increased even more since COVID-19. Looking to governments, countries in Europe are seen as leaders in advancing sustainable development. The top 5 mentioned, Sweden, Germany, Denmark, Norway, and the UK, are doing great things. Asian countries are less frequently cited as leaders in advancing sustainability. However, the top Asian nations that we have seen are Bhutan and Singapore, who rank at number 11 and number 13, respectively. NGOs play a key role in advancing sustainability, and they often bring awareness to key issues, working with both governments and corporates to take essential action. What we found is the most recognised NGOs has remained relatively consistent since 2015, with WWF and Greenpeace as the top 2 leaders on this agenda, both globally and here in Asia. The World Resources Institute has retained 3rd place for the past 2 years. So in the corporate world, we're seeing more and more companies talking about sustainability and ESG. The top 5 global leaders are Unilever, Patagonia, Natura & Co, IKEA, and Interface. However, the gap between Unilever, who's been the leader for decades, and other leaders continues to narrow, showing that others are increasing their focus and actions to make a real impact. Asia-headquartered companies, however, are not close to being mentioned in the top global leaders. An interesting insight, however, is that looking at the turnover of the top 5 companies, there's a significant range. This indicates that both large and smaller companies can still be sustainability leaders despite their size and scale. So when asked which companies headquartered specifically in the Asia-Pacific region people think are leaders in integrating sustainability into their business strategy, there was a wide variety of responses. CDL, City Developments Limited from Singapore, and Tata from India, both at 7%, are considered the leaders headquartered in Asia. So the number of mentions per company is pretty close. CDL and Tata obviously leading, followed closely by CLP and Swire, both at 5%. However, there's no clear leader. In comparison, Patagonia is the most mentioned in North America with 39%. There's 33% of people in Europe mentioning Unilever, and in Latin America, Natura & Co are a clear leader with 66%. Furthermore, 3 in 10 people couldn't name an APAC headquartered company as a leader in sustainability. This shows there's some room to go. People are doing a lot, but there's no clear leader in sustainability just yet. When asked why these companies are viewed as leaders in sustainability, having strategic, sustainable business models is viewed as the most important to drive corporate leadership. It's gained increasing importance over the last 3 years. That's consistent amongst global experts and Asia experts. As stakeholder expectations continue to increase and more companies realize the need to address sustainability, sustainable business models at the core of business, the way you actually operate the business, are absolutely key. So moving on to some key takeaways, what have we learned from this study? Experts no longer believe that the COVID-19 pandemic will slow sustainability progress. In 2020, almost half of sustainability professionals predicted a deprioritization of the sustainability agenda over the coming decade as a result of the effects of COVID-19. This proportion has now decreased to just a quarter, 24%. So concern about almost all sustainability challenges actually continues to intensify year on year, especially climate change and, as mentioned before, increasingly biodiversity loss. For climate change, that's been high for a long time, so though it remains stable, it's also continued to be perceived as the most pressing issue. Some other issues that were ranking high and viewed as increasing in urgency over the past 5 years include biodiversity loss, water scarcity, poverty, and water pollution. And then those that have increased even more than we expected are access to energy, food security, and then also diversity and discrimination. In terms of addressing these issues, some of the corporates are doing so, and the top corporate sustainability leaders have remained consistent over the last few years. However, we are seeing some new companies enter the ranking as they integrate sustainability into core business models, strategy, and operations. The same top 10 companies are cited as leaders in 2021 as 2020, mentioned before Unilever, Patagonia, Natura & Co, IKEA, followed by Interface, Danone, Microsoft, Nestle, Tesla, and Orsted. Natura & Co in Latin America are really pushing ahead to secure the 3rd spot in this year's ranking. Other companies filling out the top 15 include many that you'll have heard of: Google, Schneider Electric, Walmart, Kering, and Suzano. In Asia, corporate sustainability is much more varied. As mentioned, CDL and Tata are the most recognized, but there's no clear leader in the region. There's a much bigger variety of companies being mentioned, and often this year we're seeing some names that we've never seen before. So we're seeing more and more coming up and paying attention to this. Overall, NGOs are perceived to be making the most significant contribution to advancing sustainable development priorities, and Northern European governments are dominating positive perceptions of national leadership. In Asia, there's more work to be done. There's a lot of work being done, with both Bhutan and Singapore getting up there in the top rankings, but we're seeing a big role to be played for corporates, NGOs and governments working together in the region. Thank you very much.